Today we will be discussing the visual narrative, and this will be a very important lecture for you when you are doing your second assignment. When we discuss visual narrative, we mainly mean the visual storytelling, how photographers and journalists are able to tell stories utilizing only their photograph. First of all, when we talk about storytelling, we need to understand that this activity has been very crucial to the development of human societies and human culture. Throughout the years, since the beginning of antiquity, humans were trying to document, to deliver their information between each other, to communicate better by utilizing and using these visual elements. Cave paintings, sculpting, all these techniques that the human devised and developed was in order to help them tell the story better with much details, much accuracy to each other. Of course, all these attempts that the humans were going through to prove their existence in one way or another to each other were before the invention of camera. Once camera were available, were invented, it made it more easier to record events, to capture moments, and to freeze them through time. And from there, humans were creative enough to come up with ideas, to come up with emotions that they can communicate through photography, emotions and experiences. Now, this question is how to capture or how to tell a story. As everybody knows that the picture is worth 1,000 words, and the picture is an attempt to tell, as we said, to tell a story and tell an idea. There are two different aspects one need to understand. The difference between photography and visual storytelling. Photography is the act of taking pictures. Anybody can take pictures of anything. However, storytelling, visual storytelling, it has to happen within a narrative framework. You need to have a concept. You need to have an understanding. You need to have an idea that you are able to deliver it, or you're attempting to deliver this idea within the framework. So as we mentioned, first of all, you need to have a narrative framework, which means you need to have a story. You need to have an understanding, a skeleton, the base of your idea. Before you start shooting, you need to understand what do you want to shoot, what's the emotion that you want to convey, how you want to tell the story, what do you want to focus on, what's the aspect. That's why it's important for a photographer, for a storyteller, to at least write the bullet points of what they want to deliver, and then try to find these elements instead of just going and shooting without understanding what exactly they shoot, and then hoping that by coincidence they would catch, or they would be able to get something beautiful or aesthetically pleasing in their pictures. Now, again, not all pictures tell a story. As we said, visual storytelling requires the ability to see things beyond what literally exists. This is very, very, very important. You need to see things beyond the ordinary person. You need to see more to it. You're not just seeing, for example, like in this picture, you're not just seeing a fisherman. You're seeing the concept of hard work. You're seeing the struggle of a humanity for surviving. So you need to understand that there is more to the image. That's why we always say that a photographer needs to have an eye for details, because you are adding more symbolism, you are adding more meaning to the normal picture, to the ordinary picture. Now, again, we go back to the concept of aesthetic, and we've been discussing aesthetic for a long time now in the subject. As it says here, as the definition mentions, that aesthetic is a branch of philosophy dealing with the nature of art, beauty, and taste. So it's about how other people see the image and how they can decide if it's beautiful or not. Now, luckily, it is not open for interpretation, because if it was, everybody can have a decision in this. So we are looking for certain elements that once we find them in an image, we can say, okay, this is a beautiful image because it has X, Y, and Z. You will find this file in the Blackboard, and you can download it and use it as an extra help material for you to understand the difference of, or to understand the relationship between aesthetic and composition. As we've been discussing it more time and time again in the course, that in order to get aesthetically pleasing images, beautiful images, you need to focus on the composition. And when we discuss composition, we discuss many elements. One of these elements, we talk about color. That color does give us a certain feeling, certain vibe to the image. It conveys feelings and emotions. A black and white picture is different than a picture that has red very predominant in it, or yellow, for example. So you need also to focus and to look for these differences if there is a contrasting color, for example. Another thing, before even starting shooting, you need to focus on your subject. What is your subject? What do you want to tell in the image? What is the idea that you're trying to deliver to the audience? Is there anything important? Is there anything different about this topic? So you need to put this in mind, and you can take a read in this document. It will help you. Another thing, the contrast. As it says here, the contrast is the variance between light and dark. And this relates to light, how to use light as a very important aspect of your exposure. We discussed this also in the lectures before, how important the light. You don't need an overexposed or underexposed, but sometimes playing and manipulating with the light can give you a different vibe to the image. You don't have to have a very sharp colors in your image. Sometimes black and white can do magical, can deliver magical feelings to the viewer. Light is also very important. This also goes back to the concept of contrast. You need to focus on your lighting. Where does the lighting come from? Are you going to use 3-point lighting, for example? Are you just going to focus on the sun, etc., etc.? Another important aspect is exposure, and we discussed this as well. How do you want to expose your picture? The relationship between the light and the focus, and isolating elements and whatnot, as you said here, as it's mentioned here as well. So it's all about the practice, how you practice and how you experience with different element in your shooting. The focus also another big element, how you isolate certain subjects and how to focus on one area and neglect another one. Another important aspect is texture. We don't deal with the photo just with our eyes, but also with our senses. Sometimes you can look at a picture and you can have a certain taste in your mouth, or you can hear something, or you can touch something. All these affect on your psychological interaction with the picture. So you need to also keep this in mind. Do you want to add texture in your image? What kind of a texture were you trying to deliver as well? Always keeping in mind the audience and their experience. And we discussed this in terms of rule of third as well, symmetry and balance. How you're going to balance the colors, how you're going to balance elements in the space, etc. So having discussed the visual aesthetic elements, it is important to remember that in photojournalism, when delivering or when writing or producing a work that discusses certain issue, certain topic, social event, or war, or nature, you need to keep in mind that you don't need, or you don't want to lose the factual details and just focus on the beauty. It is important not to lose the heart of the story while trying to only focus on, oh, if this will make the image beautiful, the relation between light and shade, for example. So it is about balance, how to create beautiful images, but also how to be integral and how to be honest with the story itself, the topic itself, how to deliver it without losing the facts, without being stray from the main point and the main topic. Now, this slide discusses the elements that we discussed in the document, so please go again and read the document. It could provide great help. Another thing, while thinking of storytelling, keep in mind that the culture plays also a great role in constricting or in actually opening the doors for photographers to be able to deliver the topics or to deliver their ideas and their stories. One needs to understand that each culture have restriction and have tradition and have customs one need to keep in mind. So beside going around, for example, in Oman and taking pictures of wedding or Eid or anything that has a significant or an importance in society, someone need to understand that there are also some restriction you need to keep in mind. For example, don't take picture of people without them knowing. There are certain elements that you need to be very sensitive about. For example, when taking pictures of women, you need to keep this in mind as well. If they agree or they disagree, certain places of worship, etc. Finally, don't forget to download these documents that we would be uploading in Blackboard. They would be very beneficial in your assignment. Also, there are 2 videos here that you can take a look at, and you can learn many information from them regarding your visual narrative, and hopefully they would be able to help you and make you get the grasp and the understanding of the best techniques that you can use for your assignment.